Welcome to the Dying Breed Podcast. I'm Caleb Erickson, and I'm here with Kyle Greene. Kyle Greene is a hound hunter, houndsman, and we're going to talk about what that means to him and why it's important or should be important to everyone that lives in a semi-rural area. So let's get right into it. So when did you start hound hunting?
I started about 15 years ago. I started borrowing a friend of mine's hounds and taking them hunting. Then I eventually got my own and started from that point.
Because you were into, we've talked about this off camera a little bit. Your love of dogs is where this all started.
Yeah.
Because you had dogs as a kid, bird hunted, right?
Yeah, I got my first dog when I was 10 years old, short hair, and I bird hunted pretty much exclusively until I was 22 and he died. And I had about a 3-year window where I didn't have a dog. I just big game hunted and I missed it immensely. So I got my first hound pup at about 25 and then I've been going ever since.
You got into hound hunting 15 years ago, borrowing somebody's hounds. What kind of dogs were you using?
Back then he had 2 red bone hounds.
Okay. So explain to me, like, what's the difference between, like, because I've heard like blue tick and all this stuff. What's the differences? Like,
just breed of dog. A lot of them have been bred. They started as coon hounds and people brought them out west back in the old days and selectively bred them for hunting big game, bear, mountain lion, bobcat, etc. And so there's just different breeds. There's black and tan coon hounds, blue ticks, red bones, treeing walker coon hounds, and it just keeps going.
what's your preference? Do you have
I have all walkers.
Okay.
I like them all. I'd like to have one of them all, It's like a itch, But I pretty much have found what I like, and I'm actually going to breed my first litter this year. So,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
you haven't
pretty
told me.
excited.
You didn't tell me that. That's pretty cool.
So I'm going to take my youngest, I think, to Northern California and get her bred by a guy that's been doing it for a long time.
Same line or different line?
About half, same line, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yours are, I forget the breed. What?
Yeah, mine are treeing walker coon hounds. They have part Yadkin River and part Nance bred walkers, and then there's some other stuff mixed in there.
Wow.
So it's kind of a concoction. I mean, guys that do it a lot and have done it for a long time, generations, they breed the best of the best, and it's within one breed, but they're kind of
right.
They're just kind of adding and mixing for the best hunting ability, and
right.
So
like, what was it like starting? I mean, obviously technology has changed immensely over the last 15 years. What was it like when you started hunting, and what were the guys like that you learned from?
So I learned from a lot of guys that hunted what I'd say like the olden days with telemetry collars. And back then it had a telemetry collar. It would give you a beep and you could use an antenna to get general direction. It would give you a stronger signal for how far, how close you were to the dog. Very hard. You had to know what the dogs were doing, where they were likely to go through, travel, what the lions or bears or whatever you were chasing were doing too. I had 1 year with the telemetry, so I didn't learn a lot doing it, but then the GPS came. And so I've been using GPS collars since I got dogs. Huge difference. I mean, you can watch it on a topographic map. You can find your dog quicker. You can stay closer to your dog. And you can learn a lot from the GPS if you know what you're looking for. So it's taught me a ton about what the animals are doing, what my dogs are doing. It's a huge asset.
Right.
And the old guys would say it makes it a lot easier, but take what you can get.
Well, but I think, I think we've talked about this off camera, and having that old school background though helped you, because kind of what your dogs are going to do, kind of where they're going to go, how the ground lays.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys, like, I've been around a few hound hunters and they're not as savvy that way. They don't know the ground.
Yeah, a lot of that was taught to me by guys, my mentors. They did it, back without it, so they had a lot more insight to that, and kind of taught me that from the beginning. But over time, you figure it out.
Right.
Through reps, you'll start to learn and catch on to what they're going to do, where they are, etc.
You're involved in predator control, and you work for Fish and Game.
I've done some, both Idaho and Washington. I've removed lions or helped them with problem lions over the years, yeah.
And you also write for a magazine.
Yeah, Western Hunter magazine.
Yeah. So explain to people why it's important to have hound hunting, because I don't think people understand.
Right. So there's a lot of different reasons why people do it. You know, in the old days, when people came out west, they brought with them livestock, horses, sheep, etc., and they had big problems with the lions and bears, predation on their stock, right? So they brought these coon hounds out west. They started selectively training them to help with big game problems. Back then, let's say in the 1960s, they did bounty hunting. So they would just kill them for money. That was wrong. Heavily hit the populations. But over time, you know, I just read a book called Cougars on the Cliff by Morris Hornacher, and he did the first cougar study pretty much ever in central Idaho. I just read that book, but it tells us a lot about like how they exist with wildlife and how the populations like work with each other, you know. And one, having hounds now, we do have to do some form of predator management. We're studying and balancing populations all the time. We also need them for, you know, when we have livestock problems, people will get their livestock killed. Houndsmen can come in and remove a problem cat per se. That seems to be, if they kill like a livestock animal, they'll repeatedly do it over and over again. So,
Well, because it's easier. I mean, to a certain extent,
yeah,
like killing a calf as compared to trying to run down a deer, not comparable. Calf's way easier to get.
and it allows us to study them too, right? I mean, we're constantly surveying populations. We're knowing how many are in a certain area. We have the ability to catch them, collar them, study them. You know, ultimately, I'd love to do that stuff. But there's a lot of benefit to it.
Right. Well, and I don't think people realize that you don't kill most of the cats that you tree.
No, not very many. I've only killed, in my 15 years, I've only killed one mountain lion, one bobcat, one bear myself.
Wow. In 15 years.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not to say other people haven't killed
Right.
some too, but large majority of what we catch, we release. We're just studying them, photographing them.
And doesn't and a lot, I don't think people understand this, but because we've talked about this, and I've worked in ranching, when you run a cat and you tree him and you let him go, that puts a little bit of fear of dogs into him. So Fluffy, who's in Judy's backyard, isn't going to maybe get eaten because that cat has a little more respect for a dog.
Yeah, I think definitely, you know, I can see the contrast versus Idaho. We can hound hunt, Washington, you can't. So I've done a lot more. I mean, way more predator management over there for them because they have problems with that. They don't have necessarily fear of man. So they come in and harass livestock and people more, even though they may not be more population in the urban interface. It's
Right.
just, it's more likely to happen. Over here in Idaho, it's rarely ever happened. Usually, actually, the only one I've removed in Idaho was actually just in a state park.
Oh, really?
During Memorial Day weekend. It wasn't causing a problem per se, but you know, the fact that we run them with hounds keeps a little bit of fear of them. It keeps them pushed away from the houses, and we don't have near like the depredation problems that we do in Washington, Oregon, California, states that have outlawed hound hunting.
Yeah, it's crazy because, again, like I think they're trying to, like they've been trying to get rid of, I think it's Oregon, that they've been trying to get rid of predator hunting in general, or trying to limit it to the point that it's not even going to be a thing. And I forget what article I was reading on that, but I'm like, you guys don't understand. Like, if you don't manage, like, it's just like our elk population, our deer population. There is no bigger conservationist than the hunter, because we want these animals to be around for the next 1,000 years. Like, that's how we think.
Mm-hmm.
And hound hunters are no different. And they're very special because not only that, but your dogs. Like, I don't, like, people don't, like, we've talked about it. Your beat up Toyota, people look at that and, oh, beat up Toyota, can he afford like a nice Toyota, or why would he have the dogs around the Toyota? It's because you guys drive so many miles on back roads. Like,
yeah, it's very hard. That's the thing. It's society would view it as a roughneck, redneck, beat up truck, chainsaw type of sport, but it's hard. we're constantly in the woods, we're in the mountains, we're outdoors, and it's rough. It's like ranching.
Right.
You see an old ranch truck, it's beat up because it gets used because we're out there. I would say, kind of to what you were just talking about before, houndsmen are extremely passionate about their dogs. I've done all types of hunting, everything. And no one is more passionate about what they do than houndsmen. It's their dogs, the game they pursue. It is their life. I mean, if the states that outlaw it, guys they sell their house, they'll move to a state where they can do it. It's their life. Sometimes they put generations into breeding these dogs. So they're very passionate about it. But what people don't understand is that when you care about an animal that much, the last thing you want to do is eradicate it. We wouldn't have anything to chase. We wouldn't have anything to study. We wouldn't have anything to photograph. So we would have nothing that we love. So that's kind of goes into what I do. I mean, I catch them, I study them, I photograph them. Yeah, we kill some. I mean, when it's right or when they need to, but it's not the kill that we're after. It's
Right.
very misunderstood.
It's sad because, again, like, I think that's the same. Like, I go out, I haven't hound hunted, but I deer hunt. I don't really care about the kill, but there's nothing cooler than sitting on a hillside watching 3 bucks spar. I didn't even shoot them that day. I just sat there and watched. They sparred for like 4 hours. I got out there at like 2:00 and they're just fighting. And there was one big one and like 3 little raghorns. And the big one wasn't even, he just stood off and watched them like, dumb kids, But to see, I don't think people that have never gotten to experience it, they don't understand how special that is, how to be a part of nature.
Yeah. And that's what what it really comes down to and it's all about is I'm 38 years old and I've done a lot of hunting in my life. But, 5-10 years ago, it really slowed down for me. I shoot an elk every year. My family eats it. I hunt all the time, but I don't do much killing. It's all about being out there, being in nature, experiencing it. And then you're doing it with your dogs, your team. They're part of my family. So spending time out there with them, being in the outdoors, seeing beautiful animals, it's like the most romantic thing ever. And you get addicted to it. You just can't stop. But it really has nothing to do with killing anything.
You find your peace.
Yeah,
there.
I tell my wife this all the time, but I need it. Like if I don't get it to go out, walk the dogs a day a week, I go a little crazy.
How far do you, because you like to walk more than a lot of guys, how far do you walk on a hunt?
So the other day, I probably walked 5 miles, a lot of days. 10 miles is pretty average for like a bare ground hike hunt for me. Because whatever I walk, the dogs do double. If they do 20 miles, they're pretty laid up for the next day. So that it seems to be kind of where I stop, But I do 10, they do 20. That's a big day. They'll be laid up for a few days after that. But
right. And you have 3 dogs right now?
I have 4.
4, okay. And ages, history. What's their names? I know because you take them around with you there at the house.
They go in.
Yeah.
So Ben's 12 and a half years old. He just went deaf this last year. So that's been a struggle. And I have Jake and Annie, they're litter mates. They're 8. They're going to be 8 this spring. And then Kelly is my young one. She's 4.
She's pretty cool though, from what you've been saying.
Yeah.
She's the one you're going to have bred.
Yeah, I'm going to breed her. Not myself personally,
right.
But I'm going to get a dog to breed her. So yeah, she's arguably the best dog I've had out of my 5, and she's really good. She has a good build.
Ben's funny because I shoot your horses, and every time I come over, Ben's there. And because you put him up usually when I come, and he is not happy because the hooves that fall on the ground, he figures that he needs to be right there.
They're picking those things out of the gravel for a week after you're there. That's the first
some
place
people.
they go.
Some people say that I've heard people like, yeah, dogs shouldn't eat that, and I'm like, okay, like, but I've known so many dogs that have like never had an issue with it.
Yeah,
like, I mean, my dog's been around it and I can't really keep him away because I literally trim. He goes with me every day, and it's not like I can keep him from eating them. Yeah, he's never had an issue with it. If he eats like a shit ton of them, then
Yeah.
then we have a problem. But
Well, they eat them like Tic Tacs. I don't
yeah,
know. It doesn't
the
seem to
breath
bother
don't
'em.
smell good after they eat
Yeah.
them, though. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So walk everybody through. For everybody listening, you should go watch the video of this podcast. But walk us through these skulls.
Okay. So, yeah, when I first started hunting, I kind of set goals for myself. I didn't want to shoot a mountain lion until I caught a great big 150 pound plus tom. I let probably 20 some of them go before I actually shot one. That lion, I killed it with my first two dogs. I got them, all my dogs I got at 6 weeks old, but I got them trained up. I think they were probably 4 and 5. And I finally came across that big tom. Big snow day, I put down maybe 6 inches of fresh snow, got off work, had a late start, found the track and turned them loose. They went down in the bottom of one of the worst canyons you could imagine and treed it. And I had my buddy from work with me, and it was probably one of the best days I've ever had hunting.
Really?
I mean, to take my 2 little 6-week-old puppies and train them and to get to that tree and see that lion was just miraculous. And so I shot it. I have it mounted in my house, and I haven't shot one since.
What this one weigh?
I couldn't weigh it. We had to take it out of the canyon. Obviously, I couldn't carry it, but I imagine it was probably 175 pounds.
How long was it between nose to tail?
I don't know if I ever measured it.
Oh,
it was
really?
over 8 feet. Usually 8 feet is an adult, big, mature tom. It was
They can get up to 9. Is that?
Yeah, and some of that just has to do with how long their tails are.
Okay.
It was a big tom. It was probably over 8 foot.
Okay.
You know,
Wow.
but very like double XL for size. I mean,
Really?
very big. The biggest one we caught last year was 173 pounds, and I would say that it was likely could have been bigger than that.
Oh wow.
It was a big one.
And then this is this Bobcat, right?
Yeah,
Center?
this is my Bobcat. Same type of deal. I wanted to kill a 30-pound Bobcat, and those same 2 dogs caught it for me. I shot it. It was 30 and a half pounds. I'm getting it mounted. It's still in the process, but
Oh wow. When did you and how long ago did you shoot?
quite a while. I initially just got it tan so you can
Okay.
hang it at my house and touch it and feel it. But I ended up getting it wet, tan, and freezing it. So a friend of mine's taxidermist is working on mounting it right now.
It's kind of funny because like when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a really small. You don't think of Bobcats being that small of a skull.
Yeah.
Is there a rule with the cougars and the bears and you have to measure skulls or something like that?
Yeah, they score them based off of width and length. So they'll take a measurement here on the sides and then front to back.
Okay.
You can see that big sagittal crest on the back of their head, how that one's really wide.
Right.
That's where you typically see the difference in big and average.
Oh, okay.
When they
Right
get
in
old
here?
or big, that long piece there.
Oh, okay.
So
And then so then this is a bear.
yeah, this is my bear. Same. I never really did hunt bears a lot with my dogs. It was something I started doing just when I got more dogs to keep them hunting.
Right.
You know, it's hard to keep them good at what they do without actually doing it. So I started chasing more bears when I got more dogs and never shot one except this. This is actually the only bear that we've ever killed over my dogs, and it's a giant.
How big was this one?
Same deal. I couldn't weigh it. It was 7'3" with the hide, so it was. Oh, the taxidermist told me mathematically it's probably over 450 pounds. It was the biggest
Wow.
I've ever seen.
On a black bear especially.
Yeah, especially here in Idaho too. So it's very, very large.
So you were telling me a story a couple days ago about getting into brush and not going in after your dog's calling them off. How like keeping your dogs safe, because I think everybody's seen like some bad thing happen. You keep
Yeah.
your dogs really safe, and like walk us through that. How do you keep your dogs safe?
Well, the GPS makes a big difference. So yeah, I know where they're at. I can stay close to them, try to minimize the time between, say, when they catch something on the ground or tree it to when I get there. Sometimes if they do catch on the ground in a cliff or a cave or something like that, they will they'll stay at bay and they'll keep distance. But when you show up, they have this like, oh, dad's here, it's
Right.
time to go. Whether they want to show off or they just feel confident in you being there, and they'll usually get more aggressive, make a move, and that's when problems can happen. So if I have no intention of killing the animal, a lot of times if I get close, I'll just see that and I can start toning my dogs in my GPS and I'll just call them off and we'll just be done.
Tell the story about, I think it was last year you were telling me they balled up on a bear and you didn't want them going after bear that day and how you called them off. They were clear across the canyon.
Yeah. In the old days, with like beeper collars or no tracking collars, you let them go and then they'd run till they got tired and quit or till they caught it. Now with the technology, we have training and tracking collars so we can tone them, vibrate them. You could shock them. I rarely, if ever, have shocked my dog. I have them tone trained to recall to me. So when I hit the tone button on their collar, they know to come to me. I start that when they're really young. But last year, yeah, it was winter. We got on a bear. I don't know. It was snow. By the time I was free cast hunting them, so they're hunting within 300 yards of me as a group. I hear them start barking. By the time I can get to the track, see what it is, they've already crossed the canyon. They've already treed the bear. So I get to a good vantage point. I start toning, cycling through the dogs. You can slowly hear them stop barking. I start calling. Every once in a while, I might shoot a pistol in the air. Boop, they come right across the canyon. You can watch them come on GPS. It's a game changer. In the old days, never would have been able to do that.
Well, and it's kind of crazy because it's any profession. There are guys that give it a bad reputation. And I've been around some good guys. I've been around some guys that were kind of questionable, but I've never seen anyone that could call their dogs off once they got going. Like they just weren't that trained. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And those collars, I mean, people view those as shock collar, right?
Right.
I probably have shocked my dog each once. I start training them a specific way. And when I do, I start at the lowest level possible. And you just go up until they feel uncomfortable and they get the picture.
Right.
I rarely ever have to shock them again. But those collars, people view them as like a training thing or we're going to shock a dog. Those are also a safety net.
Right.
And I can control my dogs. I can stop them from doing things very easy. And it's saved me a lot of problems, probably a lot of vet bills too.
Right.
I mean, that's a safety net. We can find them, we can train them, we can call them off. It stops a lot of unwanted things. Even if they're in a bad situation, say like a young cougar or something on the ground, I mean, I can put an end to that quick with that collar.
Right.
It's a huge asset to us as hunters.
Are hounds hard-headed a little bit? Like, 'cause I've been around working dogs, border collies, and they're kind of like, you can literally just talking to them don't hardly do anything. Those dogs just look at you like, what? Like they're hard-headed. They're built to be that way. They go after cows that kick and they'll get thrown around and they're like, oh, doesn't matter. Are hounds that way or are they pretty soft?
Yes and no. It depends.
Okay.
Males are more stubborn than females for sure. I don't know. That'll please a lot of females out there, but the males are definitely more stubborn. I don't know. I've hunted in one specific breed. They're really loving. People see them as a savage beast. My hounds are curled up on the couch. They're like the most loving dogs we've ever had. And we had labs our whole life. But
your little girls, like those dogs are around them and they're just like when I'm shoeing and their dogs are running around, the little girls are running around, the hounds are right with them and they're a great family dog from what I can see.
Yeah, they're the most gentle, loving dogs that I've been around. I've been around all sorts of breeds of them. But, them girls will put a leash on them, drag them around, choke them all day. They don't do anything. They're just nice little pets. I mean,
well, and I think I was actually talking to a gal about this the other day because she went to feed some hounds for someone. And it was kind of one of those situations, like it scared her, to be honest, because the guy had a bunch of hounds outside. They weren't quote unquote family dogs. And she had to like take them, put them on like a long line, basically, put their food out for them, and then turn the dog loose to go eat. She couldn't she's like, it was scary because like these dogs were kind of out of control. And I'm like, that's not their experience. Like that you have it all. That dog is like part of your family, goes everywhere with you. So I think people, we tend to, what is it? Bad news travels fast. So that one guy that doesn't have control of his dogs, that's running around being crazy, gives everybody else a bad rap. And you guys are like, and to your, basically what you've said the whole podcast is like, it's your lifestyle. Like it's your life. You spend every spare moment with your dogs out and about.
Yeah, they're part of the family, and they're a high energy dog. I mean, they
need to go.
Yeah, they're meant to run, be exercising. They're not meant to just stay on a chain or in a kennel. And that, I think that people often see that because when guys have a number of dogs, it's hard to take care of them. I mean, we've got 4, they're in and out of the house. So any more than that, you can't do it. So, I mean, yeah, they're kenneled. They're sometimes put on chains, but I mean, guys take care of them.
Right.
And, I mean, not everybody keeps them the same, but just because they keep them a certain way usually has to do with the sheer number they have.
Right.
I've heard a lot of complaints about people that, well, that dog's not getting fed or whatever, well, that dog's an athlete. So,
yeah, he's
slim. I mean, Usain Bolt is skinny, right?
Right.
Like they're in shape. That's what they are. They're athletes. And so we feed them, we take care of them.
But they're moving.
But they're out going. Yeah. They travel lots of ground on little water, and most of them are in really good shape. They're skinny.
My in-laws give me crap about my little lab because he's built to hunt. Like that's what he's bred for. And he's skinny. Like he's probably heavier than your dogs, but for a lab, he's like, there isn't very much fat on him, if any at all. And my in-laws are like, oh, he always looks skinny. I'm like, no, that's because your dogs are fat.
Yeah.
Your dogs don't go out of the house. Like,
yeah.
And same with border collies, any of the working dog breeds. Like, look at huskies. I have several clients that have huskies. They're like, I don't understand. He doesn't want to come inside. That's because he's bred to be out in the snow. He wants to be in the snow. They're like, well, all he does is lay in it. I'm like, that's what he's bred for. Like, he wasn't bred to curl up by your fireplace and hang out all day long. And then they're like, I don't understand why he chews stuff up. I'm like, he wasn't bred to hang out at your fireplace, So I think a lot of dogs, when a family looks at buying a dog, they need to understand what that dog is, what his purpose is.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think dogs, horses, people all are better with a purpose.
I would agree.
If you lose your purpose, you lose direction, and then you're a lazy piece of shit on a couch. Like that's just how, like, you know what I mean? Like that's, and you do things that probably aren't healthy. And for dogs, I think, especially like your hardcore hunting dogs, like they love doing it.
They love it.
I mean, I've seen yours. Like when you're getting in the truck, they're all like, hey, are we going?
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you go. Like where I'm going, they want in. Because they just know we might get the chance to go somewhere, and hunt or chase or run. So they're all about it. It's their whole life. And it's not like we're forcing them to do it. They love it. They're bred for it. It's in them,
Right. It's their purpose. And I think on one of my previous podcasts, we talked about a purposeful life or a life of purpose. And it's unfortunate because many people don't find their purpose and therefore they're very unhappy. And I think you could learn a lot from like a hound, really, because they're happy because they have a purpose and they know that purpose and they're ready to go do it. And I think there's a lot of people out in the world that don't have a purpose and they get lost. I mean, for you, hunting's your purpose.
Yeah.
Raising your daughters, having a family is your purpose. You live for that.
Mm-hmm.
Are there days it's bad? Yes.
That's life. Ups, downs.
What if you had like? We'll start with bad news and go to good news. What was the worst hunting day you've ever had? Like
the worst hunting day that I've ever had. We were hunting the river, and it's really cliffy, not a lot of trees, so a lot of times you'll just catch lions in the bluffs, rocks, whatever, small trees. A little more likely that something could be western than just in timbered country where they likely will just climb. We caught a lion on the edge of a cliff, and lion flipped a dog off a 100-foot cliff and killed it. So
Ooh.
worst day I've had.
Was it one of your dogs? Or?
Wasn't one of my dogs. It was a litter mate to Ben, my 12-year-old, but it was a friend of mine's dog. I'd known it its whole life. It was horrible. And I pretty much just ended the hunt right there. But that's my worst day. And I actually, it's a cool picture. I have that picture, but I honestly look at that picture to remind me how bad of a day that was, you know?
And it makes you probably more careful. It gives you because things can go bad super fast. Yep. Even we were talking the other day, we're like, would you rather be good or would you rather be lucky? Lucky. Because I don't care how good you are. Some days you're going to need some luck.
Yeah. And it's dangerous game. It's big game. You learn what's smart decisions and poor decisions real quick, and you don't make poor decisions.
What I heard a saying, is it good decision making comes from poor decisions?
Yeah.
You learn more sometimes from a bad decision and it biting you in the ass a little bit. You learn, I feel like I learn faster from those than I do like when I do everything right.
Yeah. That day, you know, 2 of my dogs were right there too. Could have just as easily been one of them, but it's the only dog we've ever lost. Luckily, it wasn't one of mine, you know, but I don't forget it.
Right.
You don't push the envelope, and you learn from it. That obviously stuck with me, and, you know, I don't want that for any of my dogs. So,
well, and it comes down to respecting the animals that you're trailing, you know. Whether it's bobcat, bear, cougar, whatever, you learn to respect that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our goal isn't to harass them. You know, it's just to catch them. We usually get them up a tree. We usually take some pictures. It's 10, 20 minutes maybe, and we'd let them go.
Right.
They climb down and they're gone. I mean, it does not hurt them. I've watched it. I've sat there and watched them climb out, jump out, walk away unscathed. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's not our MO to harass them.
Right.
You know, sometimes you catch them in like less than ideal spot. Sometimes they go in a cave. My brother just caught a bear in a cave the other day. Same type of deal. He gets in there, sees the situation, just tones them, come off, and they leave. It's over. Bear walks out of the cave, goes back to being a bear, you know?
Right. Do you find, like, especially on the ground, like have there been some close calls, like getting on the ground, you're like walking along and they're just down in a hole somewhere?
Mostly it's in the cliff country. Not a lot of close calls, no, but I've definitely had them. Mountain lions are pretty numb to dogs. You can have a dog 2-3 feet away baying at a lion, and it usually just like paralyzes them. They might swat at it a little bit, but a lot of times it's just paralyzed by the sound, and they're just scared of dogs. So you get in those situations, you just kind of get out of them real quick. The first lion I ever caught was like that. I caught it on the edge of a cliff, and my little girl was up there just barking away at it, and I looked through a hole, and there's a mountain lion looking at me. I popped a picture, and I grabbed her by the collar, and away we went. Yeah.
What? So we went over the worst day. What's your best day hunting? Like,
I would say my best day is probably the day I got my big lion, because it was a goal of mine, and it was with those first 2 dogs that I raised. I got them both when they were 6 weeks old, and it took about 5 years to get it, and being selective. But
like when you walked up to the tree, what did it look like? Like,
that's the biggest mountain lion I've ever seen in my life.
How high up was it?
It was like 10 yards from me.
Oh, geez.
It was on a really steep hillside, and so when I climbed up, I was almost eye level with it. And I climbed up there, and I was like, holy moly, that thing is huge. And he just sat there. He was just calm as could be. For a long time, I waited for my buddy to hike in to me, and, you know, we knocked it out and built fire, skinned it. It was my goal, you know.
Do you have like a ritual? Like, I know I do kind of, like, if I get a deer or something, I usually have like a little after hunt ritual. Do you do anything like that with yours?
Not really. You know, it's just, any day we can go out and chase something is a good day. Any day you catch something, it's a better day. The days that I actually shoot something are 3 out of not many, like, or a bunch, right? So
Right.
I just try to enjoy it in the moment because I just love being out there. That day is probably my all-time favorite day with my hounds just because I built them to do that. We did it. And I've never really had a desire to kill another one. I love catching them. I love getting them for people who want them, but I don't really have a desire to kill another lion.
Right.
It's weird. People could not believe me, but it's just inside. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not about that for me anymore.
And your little dog coming up, you said she's probably the most impressive dog you've had. Like, what's her best day?
She's had a number of them for a short life. I don't know. She was 1 year and 1 day old when she caught her first mountain lion. And then from that day forward, she's just been catching stuff. And she's young, so she'll outrun my older dogs. And she's had some good days. I mean, she's caught bobcat and a bear in the same day twice. She's caught lots of lions. I mean, she's only 4 years old, but she's treed probably 50 animals.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Bobcat, bear, lion. So she's had a really good start. And she's just,
Is it the, like, what makes her so good? Is it she picks the scent up better than the other ones? Is she just, like, what makes her that much better?
she's fast. And you can have a fast dog that can't, like, an overrun scent or can't really trail good. She can run fast and trail good. And so what happens is, as you're navigating this trail that something's left, you'll encounter problems, brush thickets, bluffs, whatever, that slow them up. And they usually take a while to circle that area, find what we call out track, and keep going. She is really fast at getting from point A to point B, and she's even faster at figuring out those losses. So
Oh, really?
the time gap the animal puts when it's in a tight spot like that and then it leaves, she'll get in there, she'll figure it out, she'll be on them. And so the time window just shortens, and she puts pressure on them faster and quicker than all the other dogs. And that's what forces them to ultimately tree.
Gotcha.
So she's just really quick. She trails good. She's fast. She never tires, and she's good at locating them. So she's just kind of perfect in all the fields.
So we've talked about this in off camera. Talk about scent. So cold days compared to warm days, compared to dry days, compared to wet days. Like, because scent, the way scent works, you're talking about your dog figuring out the tricks faster. Like, they go around something that's hard to see, or they go through somewhere and she knows, but explain how they're finding that scent and how that scent lays.
Yeah. So the first thing you have to do is train them to recognize that this is the desired scent. That's what we start with them when they're really young. With the animal itself, I've read a lot of books on this, so it's kind of down to the cellular level. And without diving too deep in the weeds, as an animal moves, essentially cells are falling off of it in the form of scent. Those cells are subject to the wind blowing them, to what they land on, to what the surface conditions are like. So there's all sorts of variables mixed in. But those dogs are moving and finding those particles of scent, and they're going to follow that path. Sometimes it's real easy, sometimes it's real hard. I always picture it like a cold trail or an older track that's some time has passed before that animal has actually walked through there. It's like a dotted line on the road. There's little breaks in it. It's hard. They're moving around. They're trying to keep that general line. They're trying to piece it together. Now you get closer to that animal in time window, it might turn to like single solid. Now they can really smell it. And now they're not having to work as hard to follow that, right? And then eventually they're going to get that animal on its feet or jump it. That's like a double solid line. They can run sometimes 5 yards off of that and just be wind drift in the scent, so they can go a lot faster, put pressure on it, catch it. As far as scent goes, snow is good, but snow can also be bad if it's too cold or if it's frozen. Then it gets hard for them to smell. As it freezes and thaws, it's subject to that, right? So scent will at night settle in there and freeze, and then during the day, if it warms up, it'll dissipate and rise. And if that happens a couple times, the scent will essentially dissipate quickly and be gone. But like on bare ground or dry ground, like the term dry ground is for somewhere like Arizona, New Mexico. It's dry, it's arid. There's not a lot of moisture in that soil. Those are pretty hard conditions. Super cold and dry ground conditions are really hard for scent. A bare ground condition, which I would say just earth, that's probably damp, you know, maybe like what we're experiencing now, or the West Coast where it rains a lot and it's damp, but it's not dry, arid, you know. Those are pretty good scenting conditions around like 40 degrees. When it gets hotter, those scent particles dry out quicker. So if it's 90 degrees on a summer day outside, those scent particles come off. They're somewhat like full of moisture. The wind, the sun, all that dries that out, scent goes away. So there's a lot of variables and factors that go into it. I would say optimal is 40, 45 degrees on damp earth. Dogs can smell really good. Like
What
that.
have you hunted down in the Southwest?
I've never hunted out Idaho. I've always wanted to travel around and do different stuff, but I never have.
I mean, it's crazy because there's a lot of science to this,
Yeah.
to hound hunting. Like, I don't think people understand. It's just like horseshoeing, like where, you know, it's just a dumb horseshoer. And then you start getting into it and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to know anatomy and I got to know this and that. Hound hunting is the same way. Like you've gone over technology, so you got to be pretty savvy there. Then you got to know geography, you know, the ground that you're going over. And now you're getting down to like, now you're in cellular level.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, like at this temperature, what are my dogs going to do?
Yeah, and a lot of that's observed through trial and error, but I always say the best thing you could do for like a young boy is give him a hound, because it'll turn the boy into a man. Because I think back to when I first started, and you've got to know how to get around in the mountains. You've got to know how to run chainsaws. You got to know how to drive in the snow. You have to run chains on your truck. You have to be able to deal with dead batteries, flat tires. I mean, there's that side of it. There's your dog side of it. You have to know how to train them. You have to know how to take care of them. You have to know how to vet them. Then there's the animals. I mean, I've hunted about everything in Idaho, and nothing has taught me more about all species than running hounds. You can be an expert on deer. You can be an expert on elk. But to run hounds, you have to know everything about all the species. So you're looking at winter ranges. You're looking at prey food, rabbits. I mean, you're studying everything from little squirrels all the way up to elk, bighorn sheep. So they feed on them. So you have to know when and where they are just to find them, you know. And then if you're gonna go walking 10 miles a day, you better have a good idea of where you should be walking, or you're just gonna walk around aimlessly a lot. So you got to know where to look. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it, and it's like the best learning thing ever.
I think it also teaches patience, like as a whole, and you can't get upset with an animal, especially something that you're training. You have to be patient. You have to be understanding. You have to. I think we've lost. Young men today are not self-reliant. That's what's really sad. So everything you've stated is just being self-reliant.
Yeah.
Being confident in your skills to survive. And most of probably my generation and coming up, if it's not on the computer and it's not Fortnite, they're kind of lost.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a big confidence thing.
How many guys don't even carry chains in their truck? Like, I'm floored. I have a set of chains.
Yeah.
And like, I'll ask somebody like, do you have snow chains? Well, I got snow tires. Okay. Yeah. Cause that's not going to work. You know, that's going to work every time.
Yeah. You want to go out in the mountains in the winter, you got to have a plan. And the farther you go back, the better your plan should be. I mean, and what I carry varies a lot depending on how far I get from town. There's just a lot of self-reliance, a lot of confidence just comes from being out there.
Do you think the Toyota's especially like the '80s Toyota, is the best frickin' back mountain rig ever made, or do you have an opinion there?
I think about that stuff all the time. If I could have one vehicle for doing what I do, it's just a Toyota pickup. Extra cab, 90s, 2000s, not in the new ones, a manual. You can't really chain up the front of a new Toyota.
Really?
Yeah, the arms, there's not enough gap. You have to put spacers on the front wheels to get
Oh,
them
no
out.
shit.
But they're not designed for it. The older Toyotas that you could put 4 chains around in a stick shift are what you want.
You probably get just about anywhere. The fact that you have to 4-chain a rig, like most people can't even fathom that. Like you're driving, you're probably pushing the snow with the bumper at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 2-3 feet, unless you have lifts and lockers and all that stuff, a couple feet, 2 to 3 feet. I've had my Toyota chained up and I could walk out of places, but you're going about 2 miles an hour to do it. I've kind of quit hunting that way because it's just a lot of work and I'm getting old and I don't really like doing it anymore. It's cold, wet. I just find other avenues. I use my head to hunt other places that aren't as much work, and I still come up with game. So I've learned in that regard.
Maybe the arrogance of youth. I've thought about this a lot. I used to do things and I was like, even today I look back at myself and I'm like, God, that was pretty badass, but there's no way that I would do that again.
Yeah.
Like that was way too much work, way too hard. There's easier and better ways to do the same thing. But at that time, I was just like bullheaded and I'd just run through stuff like, oh, there's a brick wall. I'll just go through the brick wall. And older me goes, there's a door over,
Yeah. Definitely stubborn in our youth, but you learn.
Do you run lockers on the rig you have now?
No, I've stopped. I carry a couple chains with me, all the stuff to get out, shovels.
Do you winch? Do you have a winch on the front of yours?
No. I've come to the realization that if I'm going to go places where I need 4 chains or a winch, then I should be on a machine, whether that's a snowmobile or a track machine or whatever.
Those side-by-sides are pretty impressive, like where you can go.
Yeah.
And then the side-by-side. I don't know. Have you run the side-by-sides with the tracks on them?
The friends have, yeah.
What do you think of them?
They're good. You're going to go slow. You're going to burn a lot of fuel.
I've heard when they get stuck, you're really stuck.
Yeah, you're really stuck. You want a winch on one. If I could pick one machine, I'd pick a tracked 4-wheeler.
Okay.
A little bit lighter one, probably. Track side-by-sides are great, but they're going to burn fuel. They're heavy.
Right.
They're expensive.
Yeah, they are.
They're really expensive.
Yeah.
So I would choose a tracked 4-wheeler or
could
walk.
Talk about your box, because most of them, especially in this area, for everyone that's not from Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, or any of the, I would say, the Pacific Northwest, the western states, you can pretty much tell a hound hunter just by the dog box in the back. So like design wise, how they work.
Guys build them all sorts of different ways. Some of them are for cold, some of them are for hot, some of them are aluminum, wood. I have an aluminum box that's pretty boarded up. It's not really well ventilated. That's kind of what I use during the winter. I like wood. I started with wood and I went to aluminum and I actually just built another wood one and I've been using that for the last 2 years. I think it's just a little warmer in the winter and then, it's just cozy for them. I don't know. People say it only lasts maybe 10 years. Well, so is the life of a dog. I've used one for a long time.
Right.
The aluminum, it gets a little hot, like in spring bear or summer, they get hot. You have to really ventilate them and it'll be cold sometimes in the winter if it's ventilated too much. So
do you have, because I've seen the ones where they have the platform on top where the dog can be on top of it. Do you run yours that way at all or no?
Yeah. So that's for rigging or striking off a box, which is when you put the dogs up on the box, you drive down a road, whether it's a truck, ATV, 4-wheeler, and the dogs will strike the scent. They'll smell, they'll indicate with their barking. They smell it. You let them down and they'll go hunt, start trailing, catch it for you, hopefully. A lot of bear hunters hunt that way. There are guys who hunt bobcats, especially on the West Coast. They used to hunt a bobcat a lot like that. And there are guys who catch mountain lions that way. I do that for bear hunting, but not during the winter with mountain lions or anything like that. It's cold. They stay in the box. So a lot of guys build a dual purpose box, right? Mm-hmm. They keep them in the box during the winter or when they're traveling to and from hunting, and then they get up top.
Is it hard to strike on cougar, or is it just area, location? What's the difference?
Bears leave a lot more scent. They're stinky.
Yeah.
So most guys hunt bears that way. There are guys who can hunt bobcat and lion off the box like that. It usually has to cross in front of the truck relatively a short time before. They don't leave as much scent. It's harder to detect. But yeah, I mean, guys have dogs that will do it 100%.
Okay.
It just takes a lot of hunting to have like a pure like bobcat striking off the box dog. It takes hunting a lot, 100, 200 days a year to keep them.
Oh, wow.
You really, I mean, once you have one that'll do it, it'll do it, but you got to keep it sharp like a knife. And so it takes a lot of hunting to have dogs that'll do that. And I know guys that have them and they hunt a lot.
You've been hunting a bunch lately, and you said you've gotten on some bears. Does that mess, because you like cougar and cat for the most part, does that mess with your dogs, like when you try to go back to cougar?
No, I mean, they're trained to hunt all three, so it doesn't bother me. Like I have like a multi-purpose dog pretty much.
Okay.
Some guys that specifically only hunt one thing will train them off of bears per se. Guys that used to hunt the coast for bobcats, they would specifically train their dogs to only run bobcats, or call it straight, like a straight bobcat dog. It won't chase anything but a bobcat. They get them trained to do it. That takes a lot of hunting to be able to do that.
Okay. What the baying? They have a different bay usually. As they get closer, as they're farther away. Or am I incorrect?
Well, I mean, each dog has their own voice. You can kind of hear the sound each dog makes, right? As a dog's scent trailing along and struggling, it's not as intense, it's not as frequent. As that scent gets warmer, or so they can smell it more, or they're getting more scent, they'll get it more excited bark. They'll get to barking more. You can kind of hear it in their voice, like, oh, they're starting to warm it up. We're getting closer. And then a lot of times when you jump, you'll hear them really get chaotic. Some dogs, like my Annie dog, she'll almost cut out because she's so excited. And you can tell. Just the other day, they caught a bobcat, and when they jumped it, I mean, she was wavering as she's running and baying. So I'm like, they jumped it, and that'll be just constant, until they catch. Now, if they catch it on the ground, the intensity, you can usually tell. They can see it, it's on the ground, or it's in the tree, but it's not high. Like, they can see it because they're really going at it. But if it climbs way high in the tree and they just locate it off scent, sit down and start treeing, they usually just slow down and have like a little more methodical tree bark. Some dogs will switch, some dogs won't. Mine are pretty distinct. Like, I have 3 that you can just flat tell when they're treeing.
Okay.
They usually change, and it's angle because they're looking up too. So I think it changes how they bark, right?
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
There's probably a little bit of anatomy there. If they're going to sit down and look straight up, it probably changes their anatomy, and then they can only bark a certain way, right?
Right.
Which I like, because I can tell listening, yep, they got it, without even looking at my GPS,
That's pretty cool. What's the funniest day you've had?
Funniest day I had was last year. And the last couple years, I've probably had the best dogs I've ever had. Each year would come and I'd be like, man, I've never had it this good. Man, I've never had it this good. Last year I had, Ben wasn't deaf yet, and I had 4 finished hounds, and they were good. And so I was hunting a lot, bare ground, just turn them loose, and we'd go hike. And we started hiking. We had a big mountain lion in this canyon we were trying to get. And so we turn them loose and we start walking, and pretty soon a dog's barking, and another dog's barking, and they're starting to trail just like normal. And so we run out to this point, we're listening, and they had come down below us, and you could just hear they had jumped something because they all 4 of them were just a wailing. And I was thinking to myself, it was kind of late winter, early spring. I was like, man, I wonder if they are walking a bear, because the bears will just walk along, and those dogs will just roar. And the bear will just walk and look at them, you know. And I was wondering if they were walking a bear. And so we keep going down the ridge, and all of a sudden, like, one dog comes out of the timber, and he's just running his face in the ground and rolling on his back. And I'm like, what in the world? Oh my gosh, he's skunked. And so I started toning them all just as fast as I could, and they just start pouring out of the trees. And all 4 of them are just rolling around on the ground, driving their face in the mud. They're running up by us. You know, we can smell them from 100 yards. Horrible. It was friggin' horrible. And like 3 dogs had just got it square in the face.
Oh
I had green goo in my collars. It was horrible. We couldn't stay away from them. They kept trying to walk next to us, and we didn't know what to do. So we were just like, let's just keep hunting. You know, we tried to keep them away from us. And they're rolling around, flopping in mud puddles and stuff. But my collars smelled for like 3 months after that. I'd wash and wash and wash them, and they would not come off.
How do you even get the scent out of them? Like, I've heard a couple of different.
I've tried it all. You can get some of it off, and then you just wear it. I don't know. I mean, we've done tomato sauce. We've done the peroxide mix. We've taken them straight to cold water. You know, like, probably the best thing is just try to wipe whatever you can off them with a towel or something right out of the gate. Get them in cold water and rinse whatever you can off. After that, I just keep using the peroxide concoction, but it's still not going away.
Well, I was driving to the hospital the other night, and I think he must have been like really flat in the road or something, because like I didn't see a skunk. I didn't see anything. And I got out of the truck, and my little sister, we were taking food to my wife, and she goes, "Who's smoking pot?" And I'm like, "That's not pot, Grace. That's skunk." And that next morning I walked out, and I'm like, God damn, I can still smell that skunk. And I walked to the door, and there was a little chunk of meat on my door.
Well, the funniest part of that is the ambulance hit it.
Oh my, really?
Yeah. My brother was working. I can't remember who hit it, but
The ambulance
ambulance hit the skunk going to the hospital.
God.
And it was right out there in the street, and it got the ambulance. So everywhere they went, it smelled like skunk.
Oh my gosh.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I was like, I looked around, and they hit that skunk, because it must have been flatter than a freaking pancake, because I did not see even a carcass in the road.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, there was like a dark spot in the road. That must have been it.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody drug it off, but.
And for everybody, you're a firefighter.
Yeah.
Is your job, how you pay for your real life.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, well that makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, they flattened it. It smelled bad.
What do those ambulances weigh?
I don't know.
Way too much.
I forget. They're heavy.
Yeah,
they're real heavy. The boxes are all aluminum, and it's a bogged down thing. The new gas ones we get horrible mileage, but
they're running gas ones.
The 2 new ones we got are gas. The diesels, they're having so many problems just because of the DEF systems that.
Oh really?
They're not. Diesels aren't made to just be turned on and go 0 to 60 and then be turned off. So they're having a lot of problem with the emission system. So we got a couple gas ones, but they get horrible mileage. They're so heavy.
Yeah. Well, you're probably getting like 10, if that.
Like 6. Yeah. It's pretty bad, dude. It's pretty bad. It depends where you're going.
Are you running Ford? Are they Fords?
They're Fords, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that could be part of your problem too.
I like them.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
See, I'm a Chevy guy. Like, I love Chevy. But
the emergency services need them to work continuously, day in, day out. You know what I mean?
We're going to start that now.
Yeah. If they should get Toyotas, is what they should get.
I would admit that I think that the, like you said, the 1980s Toyota is it bugs me, because we have these people that buy brand new Toyotas, and they're paying like $80,000 for a brand new Toyota. And I got in one the other day, not the other day, it was a couple years back. It was a brand new, fully loaded Toyota, and it felt just like the old Toyota. Like, the suspension was the same. like it had a few things like Bluetooth that the old one didn't have, but as far as like driving, it felt pretty much the same. And I'm like, for this price, like I feel like I should get more. But I don't think anyone could argue that the between the 80s and early 2000s, those Toyotas are.
Yeah, they're goers.
I've never said, and they're relatively easy to work on, I think.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
That's another thing that we don't see. To your point, being able to change a tire, deal with a dead battery. Like if you've got a manual, most people don't know this, but you can roll that son of a gun down a hill, put it in first or second gear, depending on how fast you're going, and get it to run.
Yeah, I've done it a lot.
Yeah.
My terminals would come loose. It's so rough.
Yeah.
That happened to me one day way down Salmon. It rattled my terminal loose, and I got back to my truck late in the day, and I'm miles from going out, and I tick, tick, and I was like, oh no. I tried for a while, and it would have been like a 8-mile walk, right? But I popped the hood, and I looked, and I could see it was loose, and I jammed it back on there and got it going.
Right.
But you got to think, what if you don't check?
Yeah.
And then you walk out.
And most people wouldn't even know to check. And hell, in most of the rigs anymore, you can't even find the battery.
It's hard.
My sister-in-law's had a Jeep, which Jeeps are supposed to be off-road rigs, and the battery is not in the hood anymore. It's under the driver's seat. So you have to have a bunch of specialty tools to even get to the battery, which is kind of defeats the whole purpose.
No, they're so electrical. And if your battery dies, then your fob won't work in a lot of these new rigs too. There's just a lot of electrical. The batteries are all over the place, especially in the electrical vehicles, because we're always trained to disconnect the batteries so the airbags don't deploy. And, finding them can be a challenge for sure.
Right. And do you just cut the leads on those if you're like on a call?
It depends. If the vehicle's totaled, you cut them and you take enough in the middle, they can never touch again. But I don't want to come in someone's little tiny fender bender and cut their battery cables. We disconnect the terminals, It's happened before. You're going like, did you think about that before you started whittling away on those? But yeah.
But I think a lot of these young guys, well, and I mean, driving in the snow.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, Dad took us to the parking lot or wherever and had us drive in the snow and slide the rig, and he'd pull the emergency brake while we were driving around just to let us figure out what it was going to do if we locked locked everything up. And like, my wife can't drive a manual. I'm like, baby, we need to fix that.
Yeah, you need a little Toyota pickup.
I need a little, so my dad had a 19, I want to say late 80s Nissan, which is Nissan and Toyota were so similar back then. Like
they both went really good.
Yeah. And that little thing, like single cab, had like an extra spring in the back, little quarter ton. And my brother and I drove that rig everywhere. And it was 2-wheel drive. That was the only bad thing, but we got good at putting on chains. Like we could put on a set of chains fast.
Yeah.
And we would drive into, and we always had kind of like this rule. And I always think it's funny because like people watch the videos of how to put on chains. And it's like, lay the chain out, drive onto the chains. This is how I never have put a chain on that way. I was always buried. Took the shovel out, dug the tires out, crawled under in the snow, draped them over the top and hooked them, and then grabbed a bungee cord, if I had a bungee cord.
Yeah.
I've never put on a set of chains.
I've done it a lot of different ways, but I learned real quick that I don't like doing it in a foot of snow.
Yeah.
So I will try to spot somewhere that's all matted down, and I usually drape them, and then I'll just quarter roll over and then go a little more, tighten them up. But I would way rather lay it out on the ground, drive onto it, than I would do it in a foot of snow.
Well, that goes back to that youth thing. I'm not smart. I was not smart. Like we drive until we got in trouble.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many kids don't even?
Yeah. I started young. My brother Ryan had a 2-wheel drive pickup, and we had 2 chains, and we were out there all winter bird hunting and stuff. So we figured out real quick And then there's always guys that are really proud about driving snow, usually jacked up diesel, big pickup type guy, right? So, I mean, I've spent my whole life driving snow, hundreds of days. So I'm more comfortable driving snow than I am not.
Right.
I'd rather drive on a snowy road in the middle of nowhere than I would around town.
I'd rather drive on snow when it's freaking 20 degrees and below than I would at 32 degrees.
Yeah.
I think I'm always amazed that people will freak out more when it's cold. Like, it's pretty good traction if you're under 20.
Yeah.
Like, if you're at the 10 degrees, that snow is crunchy and kind of sticky almost. But you get into that 32 degrees slush and people start driving like morons.
Yeah, especially at night when it freezes up.
Yeah. And of course, we have such a great road district in this town. They plow so beautifully when we do have snow. Because we live, what elevation here is what? 1,500?
Oh, downtown and just like 700 at the river, but I would imagine you're 1,200 feet. Yeah.
And then, but within 15, 20 minutes, we can be up to like 3,000 feet. Like,
yeah.
So you can change. And that's the thing about this area, like, especially like the Salmon River breaks, hunting down there, you can experience all the seasons in one day.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty insane that way.
Yeah. I've started on 2 feet of snow and ended up on sand. So it's just, there's a lot of change. The rim is usually like 2,500 feet, but
right.
Snow line kind of dissipates about there.
If you could, like, wrapping it up, what's most important about hound hunting? Why you do it? And what would you want people to take away?
Well, I think the most misunderstood thing about houndsmen is that, one, we're dog lovers. We're dog lovers who love our dogs. We spend thousands of dollars, thousands of hours, walk 1,000 miles with our dogs. We take care of them. They're our passion, just like the mountain lions are. Like, no one cares more about mountain lions than I do. If I didn't have mountain lions, then what would I do? I mean, I care about their existence. I care about their populations. I've spent, in 15 years, I figure I've spent between $30,000 and $50,000 studying, tracking, treeing mountain lions. So nobody cares about them more than I do. If there's someone from the anti-hunting community that thinks what I'm doing is wrong, come walk with me for a day, because you'll enjoy it and you'll have a whole different perspective when you're done with it. We're dog lovers, we're lion lovers, bear lovers, bobcat lovers. I mean, that's our passion. That's why we're out there, and we're not trying to eradicate them. If anything, we're trying to make sure there's a good population of them and they're healthy, or else what would we be doing it for?
Right.
What will we have to do? That's our passion. So I think that's the biggest, misunderstanding with it, and just keep an open mind.
Yeah. I think people definitely, especially with the world we live in, they'll see a soundbite, a clip, and they'll make a decision about an entire way of life from a 30-second clip.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah. And social media, I'm not a social media guy. It's done more bad than it does good. I mean, yeah, it's some videos, guys that are into it and want to see or share with other guys. That's cool, but it really just sheds more bad light. And
right.
I mean, one bad apple can make an impression on someone when there's lots of good apples mixed in, right? It's no different than anything else.
Well, and I think it's hard too, especially with, like hound hunting per se, because to a certain extent, the exciting part is what everybody shows, the end. Mm-hmm. They don't show the journey. And I think the journey is far more important than the end in a lot of ways, because, you got your dogs at 6 weeks old. You train those dogs, a year old, they're finally starting to hunt. You get out of the truck, getting ready in the morning, going, and all of that is really what it's about. It's not, but the only thing we see on social media is that ending shot.
Last 10%.
Last 10%.
Yeah. Yep. My days might start at 3, 4 in the morning, feeding horses, feeding dogs, loading things, getting ready, and hiking my guts out,
Right.
just for that last little 10% to happen. 90% of the whole hunt happens before a dog even smells a cougar.
Right.
It's very misunderstood. It's very hard. It's very hard. It's not
Right.
easy. And I think that's a large reason why I like it. Is a very challenging, and I'm very goal driven, and it's hard. If it was easy, no one would do it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I think that's anything that's worthwhile. And I think we've, again, going back to the whole title of this podcast, The Dying Breed, people aren't doing hard things anymore.
No.
We live in a society, and I'm a worst offender. We live in the instant gratification. I want it right now. I want to see what I want to see right now. And we've lost the appreciation of the journey.
Exactly. You will never have fulfillment without struggle.
Right.
There's no gratification. There's no fulfillment.
And it doesn't mean anything.
No, it's got to suck, and when you come out on the other side of that victorious, that's when you get fulfillment. And people don't feel that. They want it quick. They want it now. And we're going to pout about it when we don't get it.
We literally, I posted a thing, and it came out of a podcast with a farrier named Craig Turnka. And he said, people want to go around the suck. We don't want to suck. We want to go straight to, we're awesome. And the problem is that we have to go through the suck. And at some level, you have to embrace it. You just have to. Because 15 years of dog hunting, and you said the last 2, you've had 4 trained hounds. The last 2 has been the best of that 15 years. So 15 years of you putting in effort without, and a lot of those years not seeing results of that.
Yeah, in the beginning, for sure. In the beginning was slow.
And then there's that learning curve, because, you start out and your learning levels kind of at, it's just kind of gradually going up. And then all of a sudden it goes straight up. And then at some level it's going to taper off and kind of just continue. It's still going to go up, because if it doesn't, if you stay the same and you don't learn anything new, you might as well quit.
Yeah. And that's why we keep doing it. You're always trying to, every chase is a chance to evaluate your dog. Every chase is a chance for them to get a little better. My wife had a hard time with that, because one of the first years, I went out and I treated cougar, and she said, "So are you done?" And I was like, "No, I ain't done." No, I'm going to go every day I can for the rest of the year. Like it doesn't end. It's just a process. And, you never get there. You just keep trying to get there. And along the way, you catch a bunch of stuff. You have a lot of great times and great memories and great experiences. And that's what I love about it, is it doesn't have to end. I don't have to punch a tag.
Right.
To have a good time. I can go out, catch something, release it. I have just as much, if not more, fulfillment from doing that as I do coming out and killing an animal.
Right.
So
that's the whole point. These professions that are disappearing, the dying breed, all this stuff. I mean, there aren't as many hound hunters as there were 20 years ago, probably. Do you think?
Media's kind of provoked a lot more people, but it's short timers.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about it. You're either going to go one day and fall in love with it, or you're never going again, because it's
Right.
hard.
Right.
And so a lot of guys get into it, and then has a short life, they're out. The guys who truly stick around aren't as many. Guys that stick with it year after year, decades, those guys are getting older, for sure. I know a lot of them. They've been doing it 20, 30 years. They're a friend of mine, my mentor's mentor. I want to say he's 70 years old. He's still doing it. I run into him at North 40 last winter. I said, "Are you still hunting?" He said, "Yep. All my friends say I should quit, but it's like crack cocaine and I never will." So I'm like, either you're in or you're out.
Right. Well, and there is a point where you have the mental, you have the knowledge, but your body's not going to let you. And that's, I think I see that in a lot of the trades, you know, farriers, hound hunters, basically any kind of manual thing. It comes down to your 20-year-old body's cashing. It's not cashing the check. It's your 40, 50-year-old body that's going to cash the check for what you did in your 20s and the poor decisions that you made. And some of them were just, again, like you said, you used to go chain up all 4 tires and go through places. How much wear and tear did you put on yourself?
Oh yeah. You stay up all night, do that stuff, and not anymore.
No. But, well, man, I really appreciate it. It was an absolute honor. And I think, honestly, and I'm sure there's going to be comments and questions off of this podcast. So I'm thinking we should do some more at some point.
Noontime.
And maybe do some, it'd be cool to do a video on the 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you've talked about that.
I have a vision for a video. I'm not one to throw myself out there, but it would be about the 90% the lifespan of a dog. And if you saw what it actually took and the journey that dog spends with you over 10, 12 years.
Do you think you're going to do that with this pup? Do you want to do that?
It was my goal. The last goal I had was to have a litter of my own puppies, which she's definitely the one to breed and do that with. And then to build a video off of that dog's life from coming out of the womb till going into, the box. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think, not to pressure you there, but I think that needs to happen. I think that, and what you're doing is awesome, is you're showing people the true side of hound hunting, not the 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that that's more important, because if we want these things to continue, if we want hound hunting to still be a thing in 30 years, we've got to educate people. Same thing with any of these trades out here, farriers, all this stuff. It's about educating people so that they can see the lifestyle and they can understand it. And hound hunting is definitely, it's a necessity in these rural communities where you have a ton of livestock. We've seen what happens in states that don't allow hound hunting. I talk to ranchers. I shoot for ranchers that work in those states, and they're like, crap, we can't get a handle on it. And then they end up calling in the government anyway, because the government can't get a handle on it. So then they have to hire somebody like you to come over and hunt. But wouldn't it be just better if you could have guys in those states?
Yeah, even
way cheaper.
Even if they just had pursuit only, it would instill some fear in the animals. It'd keep them out of the urban interface. It would allow for the sale of licenses, sporting goods, generate revenue for the state, rather than not letting anyone in the state do it and then essentially hiring state hitmen to do, what they say they don't want done in the first place.
Right.
And I don't think people really understand how much actually still happens. So it's just one of those things. I don't know. We got to educate people.
Absolutely.
If they're educated, they'd really understand, and they'd probably be a little more sympathetic towards it, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Catch us all next time, guys.